What do a queen of Egypt, a Chinese empress, and a modern leader running for president of the United States have in common? These women defy the odds to wield immense power, reshaping history in a world that sought to deny them. Join us as we uncover the stories of 5 of the most powerful women in politics, from Cleopatra to Kamala Harris, whose influence on politics is still felt today. Welcome to Whispered Tales by Joe, where history meets today's world. In each quiet moment, we uncover lessons from the past that resonate with our lives now. Let's count down the 5 most powerful women in politics who changed history forever. At number 5, we begin with Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, whose very name evokes mystery, intrigue, and power. Born in the 1st century BCE, she came into a turbulent world of politics and war. Cleopatra knew that survival meant mastering the art of diplomacy. Fluent in multiple languages, she negotiated with Rome's greatest leaders, from Julius Caesar to Mark Antony. But Cleopatra's path was far from easy. As a woman in a male-dominated world, she faced constant threats to her throne. Despite her intelligence and charisma, she was often dismissed as merely a temptress. Yet, she wielded her power with strategy and wisdom, always putting Egypt's interests first. If you find an honorable path, do not fear to tread it. Words often attributed to Cleopatra herself. Her daring move to meet Caesar wrapped in a carpet showed her willingness to risk everything for Egypt's future. Today, Cleopatra's story reminds us of the courage required to lead, even when the world doubts you. At number 4, we move eastward to the imperial courts of China, where Wu Zetian, the only empress in Chinese history, defied all norms. Wu Zetian rose to power in the Tang dynasty in 7th century CE. The only woman to ever rule China as emperor, she began her journey as a concubine, but quickly demonstrated her political acumen. She became empress consort and later, in an unprecedented move, declared herself the sole ruler of China. However, Wu Zetian faced fierce opposition. Many called her ruthless. She was accused of eliminating rivals to secure her power. Yet, she was also a reformer, promoting meritocracy and encouraging the arts and literature, which flourished during her reign. She broke every convention of what a ruler and a woman was supposed to be. Wu Zetian understood that true power did not come from titles or birthright, but from the people she served. As she once said, "In ruling the empire, I have no one to depend on except the people." This was more than just a declaration. It was a guiding principle of her reign. She broke the traditional mold of what a ruler, and especially a woman, was expected to be, promoting merit over heritage and encouraging the arts and literature to flourish. Her bold leadership transformed China, leaving a legacy of stability and cultural richness. Wu Zetian's story is a testament to resilience, showing that great leaders often emerge from unlikely beginnings. Coming in at number 3, we head to 16th century England, where Queen Elizabeth I, known as the Virgin Queen, ruled with both strength and wisdom. Born into a world of intrigue, treachery, and ambition, Elizabeth ascended the throne in 1558, facing immense challenges from the moment she wore the crown. Elizabeth was not only a woman ruling alone in a world dominated by men, but also a monarch in a country divided by religion. and surrounded by enemies. Yet with sharp political acumen and a deep understanding of her people, she managed to navigate these turbulent waters with grace and strength. She was constantly under pressure to marry to secure her throne, yet she declared herself married to England. This decision was both personal and political, allowing her to rule independently without foreign influence through marriage. But it came at a cost. Elizabeth endured personal isolation and the constant threat of assassination, and faced relentless doubt about her capability to lead. Queen Elizabeth, I understood the prejudice she faced as a woman on the throne, but she never let it define her. As she famously declared, "I know I have the body of a weak and feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a king." These words were not just a defense of her right to rule. They were a defiant statement of her strength and her willingness to lead her people, no matter the cost. One of her defining moments came in 1588, when the Spanish Armada threatened to invade England. Elizabeth, in a powerful speech to her troops at Tilbury, displayed remarkable courage and resolve. Against all odds, her forces defeated the Armada, securing England's independence and solidifying her legacy as a formidable leader. Elizabeth's reign is a reminder that true leadership is about vision, resilience, and knowing when to stand firm in your convictions, even when faced with overwhelming odds. Her story continues to inspire leaders across the globe, proving that strength of character often matters more than strength of arm. Our number 2 spot goes to Catherine the Great of Russia, who transformed a nation with her bold reforms and enlightened rule. Let's travel to 18th century Russia, where a young German princess would become Catherine the Great, one of the most formidable leaders in Russian history. She seized power after a coup against her own husband, and during her reign, she expanded Russian territory, reformed government policies, and corresponded with the greatest philosophers of the Enlightenment. Catherine faced immense challenges as a foreigner on the Russian throne. She had to navigate court intrigue, military rebellions, and the criticism of those who saw her as an outsider. Yet she never shied away from using both diplomacy and force to secure her place in history. Catherine the Great knew that effective leadership required a delicate balance between strength and empathy. She often said, "I praise loudly, I blame softly." This was more than just a maxim. It was a principle that guided her rule. By openly recognizing achievements and quietly addressing faults, she created a culture of loyalty and trust in her court, which allowed her to govern one of the largest empires in history with remarkable stability and foresight. Yes, Catherine's reign marked a golden age of Russian culture and Enlightenment thinking, and she remains a symbol of political savvy and determination. And at number 1, we come to Angela Merkel, often called the Chancellor of Europe. As the first female Chancellor of Germany, Merkel led her country, and indeed, much of Europe, through some of the most challenging crises of the 21st century. Born in East Germany in 1954, Angela Merkel grew up behind the Iron Curtain, in a divided country under the watchful eye of the Soviet Union. She earned a doctorate in physics before entering politics shortly after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Merkel's scientific mind would come to define her leadership style: calm, methodical, and guided by reason. Merkel's rise to power was anything but straightforward. In a male-dominated political landscape, She was often underestimated and criticized, even within her own party. Colleagues called her the girl, dismissing her as lacking the charisma of her male counterparts. But Merkel was patient and pragmatic, never allowing criticism to deter her from her path. Angela Merkel, often seen as a symbol of stability and pragmatism in modern politics, viewed power not as a privilege, but as a responsibility. As she once said, "Power is not an end in itself, but the means to serve." Throughout her 16 years as Chancellor of Germany, Merkel led with this belief, using her position to steer her country, and much of Europe, through crisis after crisis, always with the people in mind. Her defining moments came during the European financial crisis, where Merkel was seen as the de facto leader of the European Union, navigating complex negotiations to keep the Eurozone intact. Later, during the 2015 refugee crisis, Merkel famously declared, "Wir schaffen das. We can do it," when she opened Germany's borders to over 1 million refugees, a decision that drew both acclaim and criticism worldwide. Merkel's leadership is marked by her steadfast commitment to stability, compromise, and human rights. She showed that sometimes the most effective way to lead is through quiet strength, listening more than speaking, and finding common ground where others see only divisions. As we reflect on the legacies of these 5 remarkable women, from Cleopatra's cunning diplomacy to Angela Merkel's steady hand in turbulent times, we see that power can take many forms. Each of these women found her own way to lead, proving that leadership is not about conforming to expectations, but about challenging them. And while our countdown ends here, the story of women in politics continues to unfold, with Kamala Harris and others carrying forward the lessons and legacies of those who came before them. Join us tomorrow as we explore the historical role of vice presidents like Harris and what it means to shape a nation's destiny from the second highest office. Until then, keep listening to the whispers of history.